be a 13-year-old freshman. Transitioned from a private school to a public school and don't have many friends. Spend a lot of time carrying around an Inuyasha and Pokemon manga. Sometimes I'd wear my Trigun hoodie to school. I soon catch the attention of a lengthy, thin, and poorly dressed girl in my gym class. We had to change in and out of gym clothes for this period. The girl, who's been staring at me off and on, walks over to me after gym one day as I was getting dressed, and she introduces herself excitedly, expressing how she noticed I like anime. I'm trying to awkwardly put on my bra without exposing my boobs to some girl I don't know. She suddenly whips me around to grab my attention, and I barely get a hold of my own boobs as she helps me put on my own bra. A complete intrusion of personal space, but I'm too shocked to say anything. She continues talking as normal. As we put on the rest of our clothes, and she moved her pile towards mine, she asked if I liked any other anime, and said that she liked Sailor Moon. I reply, yeah, I do. Despite the awkward encounter earlier, I'm a bit pleased that I might be making a new friend. She gives me her address and invites me over to her house to watch Sailor Moon and Toonami that weekend. I thought it was harmless. She had given me the invite on Tuesday, and it wasn't until Saturday that I actually went to her home. Based on our conversations, I could tell that she was very into anime, but I noticed that she tried to touch me whenever she could. And so that weekend I trekked to her house. I told my parents I only thought I'd be there a few hours. The girl greets me at the door with this huge glomp, which makes me feel uncomfortable, but I figure she's just trying to be friendly. She presses against me, but thinking again that she's just being too friendly, I playfully push her off. She looks a bit flustered and exclaims in my face, Anon, why are you so tsundere? What? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Want to go upstairs to my room and watch Sailor Moon? Sure. At this point, despite her occasional weirdness, I really don't see much wrong with the situation. I asked her where her parents were as we were heading upstairs, and she said that they work late and wouldn't be home until 5. As I entered her room, I saw Lucky Star posters, a chick holding a very phallic popsicle, Naruto plushies, and a lot of Sailor Moon trinkets. The room was littered with pet hair and anime and manga stuff. I stumbled over a few things, hurt my foot on a hard plastic spikes of an anime figure as I attempted to make my way towards the clearing near her bed in front of the TV. Anon, can I show you my favorite Sailor Moon episode? Of course, I say, situating myself at a clear spot on her floor. Hey, Anon, you know you can sit on my bed. Oh, I didn't know. So I got up and sat beside her on her bed. She had a Naruto bedsheet. I looked at the junk and pet fur that was on her bed and noticed on her pillow was a used tampon, which I presumed to be fresh and just casually laying out there. I was too polite to say anything and embarrass her, so the girl showed me her episode with Sailor Uranus and Neptune. I noticed the girl started to inch towards me every so often, trying to hold my hand at parts. I would jerk away and pretend to kid around, but truthfully the whole situation felt wrong. After the episode was over, I said I had to go. She didn't respond. I turned to her and her face was beet red, as if she were either to scream or cry. What's wrong? I asked. Anon, I made this fanfic cartoon of us, and I just wanted our time together to go how I planned. She pulled a tan folder from beneath her pillow right next to the tampon, showed me what appeared to be me and her touching in Sailor Scout uniforms. Noticed she painted my lips with what looked like blood from the tampon. It was smudged and looked... Ugh. Listen, I have to go. I don't feel good. She cried out to me with a desperate tone and asked me to stay because she hadn't had a real Tomo in forever, and grabbed me by the wrist and pulled me back near her bed. I asked again, where are her parents and when are they going to be home, thinking that they wouldn't approve of what she had done and maybe I could rat her out. She repeats that they'll be out for a while and asks me what I think of her. I tell her I don't like her like that. She begins to cry and I feel a bit guilty for rejecting her. I stay with her for a bit, gently rub her back with one hand, making sure I keep a good distance. I'm creeped out, but another part of me feels sorry for her since she's obviously bizarre. Well, thanks anyway, Anon, for staying here with me. The last girl I drew fanfic of didn't really like it either, but at least you seem to care. I tell her that I generally don't feel well and beg for her to let me use her phone. She hands me a house phone laden with Naruto and Inuyasha stickers, and I eagerly call my parents to come pick me up. After I get off the phone, I take a closer look at her cluttered room. After the tampon, I found I was curious yet disturbed for what else I might notice. Didn't really see anything else out of the ordinary besides a few pictures of homework scattered about. I noticed some pills next to her dresser. "What do you take the pills for?" I asked. "I have ADD, so I kinda need 'em." We talked about her issues a bit more, which I honestly can't say I remember all too well, but eventually I hear my parents' car outside from the house, and I tumbled over the junk in her room to leave. As I walked outside her house, she stared at me as I got into the car, and did so until we were out of sight. I had no idea how I was going to face her Monday at gym class. Monday comes around, and I see her in the hallways before first period. I try to smile and wave, but she just gives me a mean glare and doesn't wave back. At first, I was a bit mad that she would treat me like that and all the stuff I put up with her yesterday, but I realized maybe it's for the better that she leaves me alone. Gym period comes around, and as we were getting changed to start, as we were going to be playing indoor kickball that day, she's very silent, doesn't say a word to me, which is unusual since she is normally very loud. She changes into her Naruto t-shirt and goes out of the locker room before me. She left her jeans lying on the floor next to me, and they had bloodstains on them. Maybe she had worn the tampon incorrectly? I head out into the gym, and I manage to tag her out of kickball. She screams back at me and pushes me away, stomping over to the sidelines. After the period, we headed into the locker room to get changed back into our casual wear again. She had headed straight to the bathroom, though, which was unusual since she normally hurried over to talk to me and get dressed with me. As I was thinking about it, I heard her come out of the bathroom and head towards my direction. Out of the corner of my eye, I see her tearing up and holding something that was dangling in her hand. At this point, a few other girls in the locker room begin staring at her because she has tiny cut marks on the inside of her thighs and a slightly bloody tampon dangling in her left hand. She had raised a tampon in her hand as if to throw it at me, but she drops it on the spot and breaks down. Immediately there, in a dead hush of the locker room, a few people skip out to inform the gym teacher what's happening. As I open my mouth to voice the biggest WTF, she interrupts me with a muttered sob and asks me, "How could you?" I'm paralyzed, and I watch in horror as this bloody half-naked chick with a tampon begins to make accusations about me in front of other people. She buries her hands in her sobbing face and then makes a dash towards me as if to open my arms and embrace her for being upset. Nope. When she realizes that I'm shocked but don't feel pity for what she's doing, she starts screaming in my face about how I'm a bad friend, how I should have never given her the impression that I liked her. Just as she's getting incoherent, the gym teacher comes into the locker room and pulls her away from my face. She asks everyone to wait out in the hallway as she tries to get the girl to calm down, put her clothes on, and to walk her to the principal's office. As me and the rest of the people in the locker room gather outside, everyone is staring at me as if I'm the escaped rabid psycho. Everyone was uncomfortable because nobody knew what was happening, including me. Nevertheless, the bell rang, signaling the end of gym period. Since the gym teacher had not come out of the locker room, I assumed I was free to go, and headed out to the next class. It wasn't until 2 periods later in English class that my teacher ended up picking up the phone and told me to head to the guidance counselor's office. My throat began to get clenched and dry as I gathered my things and headed towards there. When I arrived, I saw the girls' parents visibly upset. They were called in from their jobs to tend to their bloody daughter and the Sailor Moon fanfiction of me and the girl together. The meeting went like this. I was somehow blamed for provoking this girl to throwing a tampon at me because of what happened at her house that weekend. She was let off easier because she was on medication. I got written up but no detention. Still, I was pissed. Now I definitely didn't want to see her face ever again. But this wasn't the last for, oh no, not by far. This chick had one more tampon to pick with my sorry ass.